Welcome back, everybody. I haven't streamed pretty much in a month, I think. Ever since the last town hall, it must have been. So it's been a while. Good to be back here, addressing a whole host of different topics today. I've initially proposed just three. The first three you can see on the screen right here, but in the last 24 hours, we've had a bunch more pop up. So this is going to be a packed episode again today. I hope we're going to get some nice discussion going in the chat and possibly even on stream too. Welcome, Boogie. Good to see you as well. I'm just going to give everybody maybe a few more seconds to start coming in here, and then I'll just begin with a rather broader topic that I don't think as many people are as passionate about as I am. So uh, we're gonna ease into the discussion today. So yeah, let me just pull up my notes real quick, and as hopefully throughout the next half hour, however long it's gonna go, actually, I don't even know. Hopefully, a few more people are gonna be trickling in, and I'm excited to hear from everybody what they think about these points. Just again, to set the tone for this episode, I'm gonna be talking about a whole range of different topics surrounding the CIV3 multiplayer community, and people are free to comment here in the chat or also in a Discord call with me in any medium that they wish to conversate in, honestly. And I'm gonna be, yeah, giving my opinion and debating with them if they so choose. All right, so after every topic, there's gonna be some time for people to call in and give their takes. And in the end, they're also gonna be, yeah, I'm gonna again leave a bit of space for people to, yeah, give their opinions. So I want to make absolutely sure that everybody gets heard here and gets a platform to talk about their, uh, yeah, their concerns. This is basically what this is all about. So, without further introduction, 8 minutes gone by already. That's how you blow some time. Um, let's get into it here, shall we? The first topic on the list here, I've titled it "Rule Making Issues" because it's really a topic that, yeah, it is rather vague. So I want to bring 2 points together here on this one, and I've wanted to start out as welcome Miss Dangerous here in chat. Glad to see you, first time chatter. Always a pleasure. We're going right into the first topic. I want to start this one out by pulling up a quote from Love from earlier today, I believe. It's a little bit of a longer quote, so I'm gonna have to only show a part of the quote here on screen, but I'm gonna read you guys the full quote. So there you go. That's the part of the quote that I want to display on screen. But again, I'm going to read the entirety of the quote out to you. Love says, "The reason I bitch is because if this letter was actually run properly, I would be involved. Unfortunately, the people in charge have two ways to do things here. Either it's unilateral if they can get away with it, and it's a vote otherwise. So there is the obvious first problem, and the second one is more insidious in that the votes have been unproportionally supported by people that only rarely play or never do. The idea that someone that's played a few hundred games or less and been here a year or two gets an equal say to people that have played many thousand games over 2 decades is totally unreasonable." So that is Love's take. And before I'm going to comment on this one, I want to well, actually, no. Let's start off with this one. I'm gonna comment on it, and then I'm gonna give the second kind of angle on this topic that I've come up with myself. So what Love's saying here is basically a few interesting things. Uh, First, I address the part that's not shown on screen here. He's saying that there's two ways to do things in the community, two ways of changing things, of making rules, of I don't know, of changing the fabric of the ladder, is what he's saying. So he claims either one of the leaders, I assume, he doesn't specify who he's talking about here, it just makes a unilateral decision. So one person in a position of power just makes a decision and makes a rule, whatever, uh, makes a judgment call, and that then just becomes law, is what he's saying. And the other problem is, well, and he explicitly says that if they can get away with it, then this first option, the unilateral one, is the one that the lawmakers, whoever they are, would prefer. And then the second option, he says, is that we hold votes whenever we can't get away with making a unilateral call. So this one I just want to address real quick because I think it stems from a bit of a different view of my own here, because I would say that this is absolutely untrue, because it doesn't even make sense when you factor in the intentions, the motivations of people. Because really, if I'm quite honest, all the stuff that we have held votes on, for example, moderator appointments, the screen sharing / streaming issue, even the king gifting poll that I held recently, which is probably not being referred to here, but I'm gonna list it anyway. All these kind of stuff that we have votes on. In my personal opinion, if Suede or any other, well, mainly Suede, let's take Suede as because he's the strawman figurehead for these type of accusations usually. If he wanted to make any of these things law, he could do that in a finger snap. If Suede went into the Steam chat today and said, which of the examples should we use? I guess screen sharing is now banned. We no longer allow screen sharing in the community. I personally do believe he would not need to hold a vote on that one. He could just announce that, and most people would more or less begrudgingly go with it, argue against it. Some of them would break that rule and would then be punished as a result. Because I really do believe that Suede does have, in some way, the power, quote unquote, to make unilateral judgment calls like this. Now, sometimes he does do that, mainly when it comes to chat moderation, where he just subjectively decides what is and isn't appropriate for people to post in chat and subsequently hands out chat bans or restrictions. Exactly. Boogeyman pretty much just sums up my entire point in one sentence here in chat. Should not matter how long people have been here, just if community accepts you. And that is how this works, by the way. That's how the rules work. Exactly. That's how I believe power works in this community. It's not seized by any person. It's given to a person by the community even in such a manner whereas they don't where they accept Suede's rulings. That's already handing him power, because if he makes a ruling and people don't follow it, then he doesn't have the power. But because people follow it, he has the power, and that power is not it's unconditional. It's not hinging on a office he holds, on an election he once won. It's just because it's Wade saying certain things, people follow it, and that's how this works, and that's why I think Suede could make certain rulings that he puts to a vote, even without putting it through a vote. He doesn't hold votes because he thinks he can't get away with making the ruling by himself, but because he actually thinks it's the right thing to do. He thinks some things should be decided by the community, and some things he just doesn't have the energy for, or he doesn't see the need for the whole community to vote on, just as he says right now in the chat. He's not going to put individual chat bans to a vote. But for rule changes on the ladder, a vote makes sense. And that is exactly the point. We don't have votes on things that we can't unilaterally change. Because if we're being real here, what would the community do? What would the community do if Suede unilaterally decided to enforce a rule change, such as forbidding screen sharing? Do you honestly believe that he could not get away with that? I do, honestly. If he made an announcement, I've surveyed the community and it seems as though it would be the right thing to do and ban screen sharing. He could do that. The reason for him not doing that is because he believes that's not how he thinks should go. So that's the one part of the comment that I don't think is correct. But I can see why people come to this conclusion, because they see Swade's rulings and actions as, I don't know, as inexplicable sometimes, as arbitrary sometimes. I don't know, because they have different metrics, different values that they would like to see enforced in the community. So they can't necessarily always follow his rationale, which is not a knock on them, because obviously it's a different person, right? But that's number one. But now to point number two here, where he says the overall concept that having these votes where everybody's vote is treated equally is nonsensical, or, well, he puts it, totally unreasonable. That is a knock in one way, shape, or form that has been levied against democracy as a whole a bunch of times throughout history, and for the community in specific here. Obviously, people are gonna agree and disagree on this. That's just a divisive take, I would say, or, well, divisive and right, a controversial take. But it's not without merit. Everybody can agree that, well, the dictatorship of majority aspect of democracy sometimes makes for inconvenient situations, right? Whether that's good or bad is the other thing, right? If you're a stern believer in always having a democratic decision made in every possible situation, then yeah, sure, you would like that, and other people wouldn't. But that's not the point here. The point is, is that a reasonable or an unreasonable thing to have in our community? And here's my take on this. Even before Love said all this stuff here, even before Love made this announcement, I already wanted to talk about this very thing, about the way we make rules in this community. Because right now, very briefly, right now how it works is somebody has a proposition, somebody wants to change a rule. They can then gauge the interest for that rule change in the community by talking to people. And if it seems as though a bunch of people will be interested, then a rule gets drafted up, a new wording of the rule, or an entirely new rule gets drafted up, and people would vote on it. That is not the process that I just stated is how it would go just by tradition, right? Just by how it yeah, it's not a letter of the law thing, right? We don't have this procedure and written down anywhere, but that's how it in actuality would go. Now the thing is, that makes the lawmaking process incredibly slow here, because so rarely do people actually have time to campaign for an issue they care about, to draft up a rule, to get everybody to vote for it. It basically never happens. So that's why I wanted to address this one before, because I think this ties into a bigger conversation that many people maybe don't always don't even quite get, or haven't even thought about how this connects. But we've been talking for years now about, do we need more moderation or do we need less moderation here? If you're one of those people who wants less moderation, or who doesn't at least want to increase the moderation, then this shouldn't concern you. This all shouldn't concern you. Then fine, the current situation where rules are being made only if people really push for them and then the majority approves of them, then you should just be. I don't see your criticism of the current state. But if you are someone that would like to push for significant changes in the rule system, then I think you're not gonna get them under this current set of in this current way that we levy legislation. I don't see it as realistic. So if you're anybody hoping for groundbreaking changes here, for big sweeping amendments to our current rule set, then I think the way we make rules would have to be done over in the first place. Love has made a suggestion here where he says, yeah, it's not a good base premise to give everybody the exact same say in these things, which again you may or may not agree with. But I personally have made a suggestion in the past where you form a smaller committee of people. You can elect those, right? We don't have to throw the democratic aspect out of the window. You can elect a small committee of people, ideally representing the community appropriately. And if everybody agrees that these are the people who we trust to make rules, then they can act much more swiftly. If we had like a 7-people governing body that met like that could be reached out to from the community, and they could make rules as they saw fit. Whenever a dispute over a rule arose, these 7 people would just get together and alter the rules such as so that it will cover any such disputes in the future. That would be a very easy way to increase the efficiency of moderation here. Now, I'm not saying that I necessarily endorse this, because I'm personally not even sure that we really need more moderation here. But I'm just saying, for everybody that comes to me regularly and asks for certain changes that are quite major, I don't think you're going to get them under the current system. So if you are one of the people that would like to see major changes, I think the way we make the rules is something that we would have to alter first. And again, my personal suggestion would have been making like a clan-based system, maybe, where the clan leaders can decide on rules and change them. We would have to, of course, for a more heavily hands-on governed community, we would need a more detailed and complicated constitution, if you will. But again, I'm not even necessarily advocating for that. It's just something that, again, I think would be necessary for the people that want to see a bigger government CIV3 community. All right, I think that just about sums up my thoughts on this first topic here. Was very interesting conversation starter there by Love. And whether you agree or disagree with that premise, it is one to take note of if you are one of the people in favor of making major rule changes. Hello, Kittey. Glad you're joining us as well, as we just now finished up that first topic. Nope, you did definitely not miss too much here. Just the first topic gone by. I gave my thoughts on how we make rules in the community and what advantages and where advantages and disadvantages come with that. Interesting. Sway just posted a longer message. I'm just going to read it out for the listeners. Swade says, him, Nat, and Beeps restarted the ladder in 2020. Nat made the website, Beeps made the spreadsheets, Swade did organization and wrote the rules. They asked for input from the community, and what they got was kind of minimal, which is exactly 100% believable, because that's still how it is today, by the way. Input is always minimal. No matter what you survey the community on, there's little reaction. Most people just want to play CIV3 here. They don't really want to, they don't really want to play politics. They just want to play CIV3, which is fine. And again, I don't think a bad thing. So Swade continues. The input from the community was minimal, especially things like the end of turn attacks and anti-city bug. Swade remembers running by people in Steam chat. There was some response, but he doesn't think people expected the ladder to actually be revived, so they weren't super invested. So yeah, that sounds 100% believable to me. I wasn't around at that time, but I could very well believe that that's how it happened. And honestly, that's not a bad starting point, right? We inherited this rule set from Swade, and everybody signing up to the ladder agreed to this rule set. So it's not like we're just oppressing people here and extending our realm of influence, forcing them under our law. It's people signing up to the ladder. I think that is a good starting point that we inherited there from Suede. So again, I don't. There's different opinions, right? I'm not saying that the rules are bad necessarily, but for the people that would like to see the rules changed, probably not going to happen under this system. I'm bored, uwu. Oh boy, is that? Let me think. Is that cow? Is that cow? I'm having trouble remembering everybody. Oh, it's Kismic. My bad. All right. Yeah, mate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Good. In case I'm just waiting like maybe one more minute if people want to comment on the rulemaking topic that I just discussed. Uh, not a big fan of my current facial hair, but thanks for your approval. Anyways, Suede continues on his further input, or well, on his earlier input, saying that since the time he established the rules, rule changes that are just clarifications of the meaning of the original rule set are just amended without vote. Stuff like a team can only have one member, so 1v1s can be legally reported. Actual changes should be voted on. That's how, in practice, I feel like it has been carried out. Yeah. All right, I think we're gonna move on from this one now. It was a nice little entry topic. And I'm gonna comment on this in future town halls again. I just wanted to maybe get a conversation started here about, do we want to change the legislative system? Do we maybe need a body of that consists of less than the entire community to make quick rule changes whenever a dispute over rules come up? That's just the base question that I wanted to pose here. And I'm gonna probably make this a topic in future town halls as well. So, oops. We'll be moving on to topic number 2 for today then. This is not going to be a very long one, I don't think, because it's been debated quite a lot. Just wanted to, again, give my thoughts on this one, but who knows, maybe there's gonna be bigger input here than I necessarily anticipate. All right, let's get on then. Let's get on with it. Topic number 2 is Nukkygate. I very much enjoyed this for the drama. I very much was disappointed by the way it was handled. So it's not all just fun and games, this topic. But all right then. So what am I actually talking about here? Nukkygate is just an episode in a year-long feud between individual members of the community, sometimes more, sometimes less ferociously fought. Hey, Carlot, great to see you. We're just diving into the second topic here. So, I'm just going to be talking about this specific episode of the feud. We're just talking about the clan tag situation, not about the broader context where the players involved have been going against each other for months or years in some circumstances. So no, we're just talking about this specific isolated instance, which also means that I'm not going to be passing judgment on positions in the conflict at large, but just about this individual incident. So, just a quick recap for everybody. What happened was that Ironclad had changed his name to include the Nucky clan name and clan leader in his name. So, yeah, he was whatever. That's factually what he did. And of course, as a consequence, multiple members of the clan, the Nucky clan, asked him to remove that part of his name because for reasons, they just didn't want it to be there. He wouldn't do it though, and all this protest culminated in Love issuing an ultimatum to Ironclad, and Suede, threatening to hold the Steam chat hostage with unspecified dangerous actions to the to our community in terms of probably. Well, it wasn't really specified, I don't think, but he said he would do something to jeopardize the Steam chat group if Ironclad wouldn't change the name back. And this was pretty much the high watermark of the whole situation. Ironclad didn't budge even at that point, so Suede saw it necessary to boot Love from the Steam group to prevent that ultimatum from actually being followed up on. And as a consequence to this whole affair, well, what has actually happened? Pretty much nothing. Ironclad still has, I just checked right now to make sure I'm 100% up to date on this. Ironclad still has Nucky and clan leader in his username. So the Nucky clan isn't necessarily too happy with that. They have pretty much settled on the course of action where they try to ignore him and hope he stops once they stop fueling the fire. Now, there's some Nucky member comments in the chat here. Well, one of them being Kismic saying, Ironclad is doing something disrespectful and making the environment more toxic as a result, and it is just now more visible than ever. Just as we have rules against offensive names and such other things as to prevent making the community more unapproachable, we shouldn't have such things happen with Ironclad. So that's the position many people in Nucky hold. What do I think on this whole ordeal? Well, there's we have to separate this because people sometimes get confused. There's my personal opinion on things, and then there's official rulings that I make in disputes. This is not one of them. This is not a letter rule dispute. As of now, no letter rules are breached here. So whatever I'm saying now is not a ruling. I'm not acting here as a judge. I'm just acting as another member of the community watching this situation unfold and giving my thoughts. It's obviously legal. As of now, we don't have any rules contradicting this. So obviously, that already makes it kind of childish, right? We have a situation where people try to egg each other on. Well, specifically, Ironclad is trying to egg the Nucky clan on. They feed into his fire a little bit by getting offended, whatever. They have a right to be offended. Everybody has a right to be offended. Now, the question is always, what does that mean for the offender, right? What does that mean for Ironclad here? Overall, I gotta agree, and the overall community sort of agrees here. It's really just an unnecessary act of egging people on here on Ironclad's part. I tried to inquire personally what the motivation there was, what he's doing this for. He wouldn't talk to me personally, but the thoughts that he's given in the Steam chat are that this is some sort of an act of protest over a previous moderator ruling that he felt he was getting the short end of the stick on. I gotta say, it is very, very much childish. I don't want to belittle his motivations, by the way. He wouldn't really elaborate on the motivations towards me. So I it might well be that he does feel wronged and he does try to make a point here and that this is some form of activism for his cause. It is just a very a questionable one, in my opinion, because whatever he stated in the Steam group, there's just no cause and effect here. There's no correlation at all. So it's really just somebody going out of their way to piss other people off. And yeah, in that regard, I absolutely do believe that Nucky clan's being fucked with here, and Ironclad's in the moral wrong in this isolated incident. Thing is, what should we do about it? That's the thing. And overall, I believe this comes back to the crux of the argument that we've been having for months. Should we police what people are saying and doing and how they're behaving towards each other, or should we not? Ironclad's not using any slurs. He's not going personally at people. So how do we want to police this? And I think I got to compliment the clan here. Over the last couple of days, Naki really hasn't, from what I've seen, hasn't given in to the taunting. So um, if we can continue this course of action, then this is what I believe to be the best. I don't think we necessarily need to throw out people out of the community over stuff like this. It cannot go unstated, though, that this is just ridiculous behavior on Ironclad's part, though. However justified he may think it is, might even be justified if he has some great moral reason that he won't let us know about, but that doesn't matter in the end. In the end, under all circumstances considered, it's just a little bit, too much there. So another few comments have come in chat. Muting works well is exactly what I'm saying, right? The ideal course of action is that people just don't interact with each other if it's not pleasant or productive for one of the parties. All right, it feels like we've reached a consensus here. The people that are watching the stream right now pretty much all hold the same view. It's just childish and and yeah, ignoring the perpetrator is possibly the best course of action here. Again, this isn't even some evil shit that Ironclad is doing. It's just actually annoying for some people, and thus just can't be encouraged. Giving like one more minute for people if they want to jump in here, have any different takes on the situation. Yeah, but otherwise we're going to move on to the next topic. But yeah, I'll give everybody another minute or so to maybe, if there's anything that hasn't been said yet, then please do take the floor as I set up for the next topic. Ooh. All right then, I'll be moving on to the third topic. All right then. There we go. So for this one, you can read it there. We're gonna talk about the issue I brought up last month. Or well, actually the issue that was brought up by Kittey last month, talking about increasing amount of king gifting going on, that being not sufficiently covered by the rules set that we have right now. So she wanted to push for more rules or some rules restricting king gifting and clarifying when such incidents are punishable. Therefore, let's look at how that poll went. I asked the question. Let me get this absolutely right. You can see it right here. I'll pull the results up. I asked the question: do we need a new rule to address king gifting or deliberate deaths? The possible answers, the options were no or yes, I would like to see such a rule proposed for the community to vote on. So that poll that I had was simply to gauge interest in such a rule. We were not even voting on a rule, on having a rule or having no rule. We were not even voting on a specific wording of the rule. We were just voting on general interest in a king gifting rule. So that's the result that you can see right here. We didn't get great participation is what I'll say up front. 19 votes coming in, 7 of them in favor, 12 of them against, saying no. It has to be added that I did not verify all these votes. I got a name for every vote, so every vote was given by a person that at least pretended to be a member of the community, but one of the members voted twice, so one of these votes is not legal. Anyways, that doesn't matter all too much to me. All that matters is we've got 19 votes here, 18 legal ones, and it's a 7-12 result. Draw your own conclusions from that result. I have posted the result weeks ago in the moderators chat to just see what my fellow moderators thought of this. Where do you vote? Oh, so the vote was held like a month ago. It was just an opinion it was just an opinion poll that I held to gauge the interest in the community. I guess maybe it's still up and you could technically vote, but we're not looking to get further results on this poll. Also, yeah, I'm not complaining here. If you didn't manage to vote, that's no issue. It was just to gauge interest. So again, I brought the results up in the moderator chat group to see what they thought of the results. It was interesting because they really drew different conclusions from me. So that's why I decided to make them public here in this official forum where everybody can see it and where it gets well, it's saved and it's recorded for future purposes as well, because apparently this vote can trigger very different reactions in people. So my gut reaction was that all right, we brought an issue up. We've got less than 20 people who had an opinion on it and were willing to put a vote out for it. So that is already few. I would say we've purely, I didn't check the data here, but purely of my gut feel, I would say we've got like 50 active multiplayer players that play like 1 or 2 games a week at least. I would gauge, maybe I'm overestimating, but I'd say 40-50 people I'm pretty sure we got. So not even 20 out of those is already pretty low. So it looks like this is a topic that even among the active player base, people weren't all that passionate about, or at least were not interested in a rule for. And then of those players, we've got a roughly 50-50 result. Right? I think that the sample size here is so low that the result actually doesn't even matter. Because if you've got 50 people voting, or 50 eligible to vote, and less than half of those people vote, then already you're not going to get a accurate reflection of the overall opinion. Now, I know that there's data science exists, and you can extrapolate further. You can extrapolate bigger conclusions from smaller samples, but that's only if you know the sample pool really well. And so that's why that's what I'll say. That's why I say I don't think these results are indicative of really anything. All we know is that there's 7 people who, yes, really would like to see some king gifting rules at least. Everything beyond that is, yeah, I think this is really insignificant. So what I thought, what I told my fellow moderators, I thought, hey, okay, it looks like there's some interest here for people, but the overall majority doesn't care about this. So we don't need to make it a point to get a rule out, to actually get a rule passed. But hey, it looks like there's a small amount of people who do feel passionate about this. So why don't we give them the opportunity to draft up a rule? That's what my personal conclusion. Why don't we give those people an opportunity to draft up a rule, and then we promote that drafted up rule to everybody, so everybody sees what their proposition is, and then we hold a final vote on that proposed rule. That was my personal how I would have handled things, because it seemed like people weren't really passionate about it, but there's a small core of people who felt like they wanted a rule, so why not give them the chance to make a rule? The overall conclusions from the moderators was more in line with what Swade just said, though. Swade says, yeah, the poll is pretty clear. People don't care enough at the moment. So, again, what I took from that is, okay, we don't have to force a rule through here. The other moderators thought we shouldn't even support an attempt at making a rule here. Which is fair enough. I mean, it's not our job, right? We are just here to decide disputes. We are not at all supposed to be involved with making rules. So that is fine. And again, I'm just paraphrasing here. Don't take my word at its face value. I'm not representing the opinions of other moderators here, but that's just the sentiment I encountered in the moderator chat. They said, actually, this poll shows that people don't want a rule, so we're not going to bother pursuing it further. And that's fair enough. And that's where we are at today. If people want a rule in this regard, you're still free to come up with your own proposition of a rule, make a specific wording, and put it up to a vote in the community. But it looks like there's little official support for it, and it looks like there's little passion in the community for it. So I wish you good luck if anybody wants to pursue that endeavor. It's just not my personal battle to grind, so I'm not gonna be diving into this. I personally also did not vote in this poll, but yeah, it's not my personal battle to fight. So that's why I'm not gonna be pursuing a rule further in this regard. All right. A bunch of points being brought up here in the let me see. Yeah, a bunch of points being brought up here in the chat. One of them, Kittey saying, so we need a legislative body? Yes, we do need a legislative body if we want to make sweeping rule changes, is my opinion. I think under the current rulemaking system, this is topic number one of this episode. Go back in the YouTube video to 8 minutes in the video where I start talking about topic number 1. Yes, if you are one of the people in favor of having sweeping rule changes, actually getting more flexible legislation going, and addressing problems that arise in the community within a few days to get a new rule passed, yes, then we need a legislative body. But we don't have that right now. So I think, yes, Kittey, if your goal is to get rules such as this one passed, you might be better off actually campaigning for a legislative body to be established first, because then that body is much more likely to be able to create rules that that would rules akin to this one. All right. Swade criticizing my small sample size statement. The thing is, he says small sample size is a misunderstood part of statistics. 20 votes out of 45 active players is a pretty significant sample. I would say yes and no. I would say you don't know that. I would say you can't know that. Because Swade, I don't think Swade even knows who voted. And I don't know what great data Swade has about the overall community. But it could very well be that these 20 people that voted are very much unrepresentative of the overall community opinion. It really could be that just 20 people who really would have liked king gifting rules just didn't log on in that week where we had the poll, or just didn't see the poll. So I think that is a pretty realistic possibility. Pretty realistic being like 5 to 10%. Oh, but fair enough. But yeah, I would say no. This is a pretty small sample size. But also, I agree with Swade in saying that, yeah, obviously, the most likely scenario is that all the people who didn't vote just didn't care enough about the issue. That's what I think as well, if I'm being honest. I'm just saying that less than 20 people is less than 50% of the overall community voting, and it's very much believable that the poll was difficult to find for some people, or just they didn't log on in that 1 week or whatever long I actually had the poll actively promoted. Okay. Now the last point here I want to address with the poll is Kittey's criticism that the poll wasn't adequately advertised and visible. And again, that is Kittey's opinion, which is fine. My personal opinion couldn't be more drastically different from that. I see where she's coming from. We just have totally different, it seems, different ideas of how promotion promotion could look like. So the original, just really quickly running over these things. Originally, I just announced this poll in the Steam group, in the Steam chat. Then Kittey said in the Discord server, in the Swade Discord server, she said she wished the poll would also be promoted in the 2 Discord servers that the community actively uses. I then immediately promoted the vote in the Swade Discord server, while also replying to Kittey that I don't think this is necessary, because I want to poll the active community players, and all the active players are going to be in the Steam chat, barring maybe 1 or 2 who might be banned at the occasion. But for just to gauge a relative interest, I was very much convinced that the Steam chat would be enough. But I still thought fair enough. I mean, Swade Discord is pretty active server. There's a lot of single players in there, so maybe we get a little bit of a wrong conclusion if we get too many votes from there. But then again, people registered to vote with their names, so it was very easy. It was a good idea. That's why I promoted the vote in the Steam Discord, in the Swade Discord as well, immediately at the time that Kittey brought it up the first time. I immediately posted it there as well. And then I posted it a few more times in the Steam chat with all pinging everybody in the Steam chat. So I think I did a reasonably, I think I did everything that should or could have been done to promote it to active players. I did not post it in the Dumbo Witch shithole Discord, because I had left that server like a week prior to this actually taking place, because I didn't enjoy being there anymore. So fair enough. I didn't post it there, and that server has an even smaller percentage of active ladder players that are actually actively chatting in that server than even the Swade Discord server has. So I think that, and I don't know if there's a single player in the Dumbo Witch Discord server that is not either in the Swade Discord server or in the Steam chat. But fair enough. If Kittey feels like it should have been promoted in that server as well, she's entitled to that opinion. I didn't want to do it because I wasn't on the server anymore. and I didn't feel like just joining to promote my stupid poll there. I also didn't think it was necessary, but fair enough. That's where we disagree, I suppose. So my question would then be, what does the overall community think? This was not even an official rule. It was just an opinion poll. So my question would be, what is the overall opinion on this? Should we have a certain minimum advertisement effort that's put into community votes such as this one? What is, do we have some certain limitations that we would like to see implemented here? But that's the thing. Cheese suggests we could pull polls in the mod rulings channel at times. I thought about doing that. That's an interesting proposal. I thought it better to keep the mod rulings channel an actual mod rulings channel, because every single message that's put in there that is not a moderator ruling increases the likelihood that community players will in the future no longer check the mod rulings channel to actually look for mod rulings. If regularly I click in the mod rulings channel and I see random messages that aren't mod rulings, I might just stop clicking into the channel, at least as frequently as I would usually do it. So I wasn't personally a fan of posting it in that channel, but I did make it a point to post it every other day in the Steam group. At least two times did I ping everybody in the Steam group as well when posting the poll. So yeah, that's just something I wonder about. How do people think things like this should be advertised? All right, Kittey saying it should have been posted in a chat that doesn't get cluttered and that where it doesn't disappear. It of course always disappears after 1 or 2 weeks, but that's fair enough. A minimum time, yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough, Kittey. This poll here ran for many days. I'm pretty sure I advertised it for more than even a week. Like 7, 8, 9 days possibly. Routinely I posted in the group, sometimes pinging all, sometimes not pinging all. But this post was up for quite some time, so that wasn't the issue in this case. But yeah, I understand your point. If we had a channel for posts like this and for community, a message board, like a blackboard to where people go to check the serious news of the day, then yeah, I would have posted it there, and would have been a good idea for sure. Again, I agree as well, Kittey. I think it's important to get to have a clearly listed criteria, clearly listed. How does voting work here? Who can vote? How many times can you vote? Will the results be public? When does the poll end? I think all these things should be absolutely made clear before any elections are held. I just thought this poll wasn't serious enough in order to validate that. That's my honest opinion. It was really just to gauge interest in the community, for everybody in the community to see how big the interest was in this issue. I don't think voter identification was too big an issue here, because again, we aren't making this policy. This is not a poll that leads to direct policy. It is literally just collecting some data. That's what it was. So that's why I felt it wasn't too important to have this be 100% official and everything. Nucky Claudia Leader makes an interesting point. Makes a joke. Makes a joke about the Dumbo Discord server. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. So again, feel free if you're watching this on YouTube to also give your opinions on all these topics in the comment section, as always. So looks like we're kind of done with this issue though. Everybody draw your own conclusions from the king gifting poll, and if you're still passionate about making a rule, then by all means come up with a specific wording and see what the community thinks of it. This is for you guys. I didn't hold this poll for me so I could make a rule or not make a rule. I made this so the community could see how we all think about this issue. Oh, I got a DM by Kismic, yep. So Kismic, I got your DM. If I understand the DM correctly, it is related to the ELO formula, right? It is for the next topic. Is that correct, Kismic? Yeah, okay. So that's that then. I'll switch to the next topic. 30 more seconds for everybody to get their final about the final thoughts for the king gifting stuff, if there's anything new. But if everything's been said here, then let's move on to topic number 4, which will be the ELO formula that we're using right now, or a potential reset of the ELO, or whatever the current ELO system is all about. Okay, 7 topics we're gonna have today, by the way, so that's the final 4 topics are now on screen. Okay. Let me just pull up all the necessary stuff as we're switching to the next topic. All right, so oops. All right, that's topic number 4 then. All right, topic number 4, we're talking about, yeah, one of the favorite topics here in our community. Our ELO system, is it legit? Is it just a big hoax to promote Suede supremacy over everybody else? The ELO formula has been oftentimes accused of various injustices. So that's what we're going to be discussing here today. I think let me check. Yeah, I've got a quote here as well from Love that I want to pull up. So he's been the most contributing member of the community for this one. I definitely got that quote from him as well. I'm going to show it on screen here in just a second, but let me first lay the groundwork here. So for years, ever since this letter has been established, probably people have had differing opinions on how good the ELO system is. We have changed it in the meantime. So when Status took over the ladder management, I think some changes were made, or at least changes were certainly made at some point. I'm not sure exactly if that coincided with Status taking over the ladder. The change that I know of was that we got rid of decay. So if you're not playing for an extended period of time, you no longer lose ELO, but you also no longer gain ELO just for playing the game. So every single game doesn't just naturally increase your elo a little bit as it used to do, if I understand things correctly. So there are some changes that have already been made in the past, but of course there's always still discussion around our elo system. So the most recent complaint was that by Love, that he thought, and this is a complaint that, by the way, I've seen multiple times by multiple people over the last month. So it's not like it's just Love crying here. He's saying the elo is kind of bullshit. You lose a few games and suddenly you're at the bottom of the ladder. Some random people that don't even play the game are all in the front page, and it just makes for a very inaccurate and for a ladder that is just not representative of who the actual current good well-performing players in each mod are. That's the base criticism that I want to address here today. So, solutions to this have been proposed, one of them being just resetting the elo and having a new start, potentially at the end of the year, which is a proposal that many people would like to see implemented. Other people have said, let's just keep the current elo, but take away the starting elo that was assigned to everyone, because the amount of games that has been played by now is already quite, it is a good enough starting value in and of itself to distinguish between the people. I didn't explain that very well, but basically all the starting elos that were assigned, we can take them away by now, if it's what many people say. And then again, there's some different proposals here. So let me just comment on what I've got. What I've got here in chat already. Suede saying a hard elo reset is garbage unless people play a lot more Ceton. We can retroactively remove the starting elo though, unless people play a lot more. Oh yeah, no. So that's what he's saying. Suede is saying no hard reset. He hates it. And we can remove the starting elo at this point though. So we got that, out of the way, that point of criticism that many people have. All right. So other opinions. Kismic saying he agrees. Hard reset is bad. Resets are useless. It just goes back to how it is. Eventually, it's like a bandage to a leg missing. So Kismic saying reset doesn't do anything. If we want to change anything, we would have to change the formula. And that is, of course, that's not necessarily accurate, right? If I just play different after the reset, then I can have a different elo, but I can already have that different elo if I keep playing. Because one of the criticisms and one of the upsides of the current system is that you can move very quickly between ranks, no matter how many games you've played already, no matter how bad your win rate is, whatever. So yeah, that is absolutely correct. If you actually want to change the way the elo system works, then the formula needs to be changed, not just reset. Is what I'm saying. So yeah, if you wanted to change the formula though, you can argue for a hard reset. If you wanted to say the current system was garbage, we want to start in a different direction, you don't have to call it garbage. Yeah, you can just say, I think we should try a different system. Why don't we make a hard reset, start anew, use a new formula with everybody starting at whatever, 1000 elo, whatever. If you wanted to do that, for example, then fair enough. I think hard reset could be doable. I don't think I'd personally favor it, but in that case, I think it'd be a bit more reasonable. Other people's opinions. Cheese pretty much agreeing with what Suede said. Nucky Claudia Leader saying you just use the old ladder caps for the first month and then you can hard reset everything. Fair enough. Yeah, that's a transition move that you could make. Obviously, yeah. Cheese is saying that the starting elo assignments was a long time issue that's been complained about a bunch, and that he says we can't change it retroactively now. I don't know that is true, actually. I thought Status had said that is possible. You can calculate the elos reasonably fine. All right, maybe this is a good point. Yeah, Suede saying we can just remove the starting elo, even though that doesn't even change much at this point anyways. And that is a fair point as well. I'm gonna read your message in just a second, Kismic. Suede is saying though, and that is maybe a bit tricky. People have been talking, blaming the starting elo for all their elo troubles. But honestly, if you just remove the starting elo now, not much would really change. So in that regard, maybe people would say they I don't know, maybe people wouldn't trust it, right? If the starting elos were all removed and people didn't see significant change in their ranking, maybe they just wouldn't believe that we'd properly done it, and they would still be suspicious. And maybe they could even rightfully argue that the starting elo that was assigned has impacted the games that they played, because you gotta remember, that is, yeah, you gotta remember, even if we now take away all the starting elos, they already did have an impact in the games that were played, right? If I come into the game and I, as a new player, and I get assigned a very high starting elo because Sway thinks I'm like a total G. So I come in as a new player, get a high starting elo, and then people make teams using me as a player. The captains make teams, thinking that I'm a player of that elo. Then that's already alters the results of the matches compared to if Suede actually had assigned everybody the same elo at start. Just as an example. Now, that is, you can't, it doesn't really change the, well, what it does change is the matchmaking process. That's what I'm saying. Like, the matchmaking process is changed in that regard. That's still not a significant impact on elo, because even if the matchmaking is flawed, the elo system should account for that. But it is a criticism that people could levy and say that it did impact my games. Even if it maybe didn't impact the actual elo outcome, it did impact the games. And they would be right in that regard, right? Exactly, yeah. Suede is defending that point accurately. He's saying, yeah, the matchmaking doesn't really matter in terms of the elo. The elo system does account and correct for that. So fair enough. Yeah, it doesn't change the elo. It just kind of messed with the games that people played if they felt like the starting elos were BS. All right. So now I'm gonna read Kismic's message. It is a really long message. I can, yeah. Let me see. Maybe I'll just pull it up also. That might be a good idea. Yeah. That's difficult to pull up right now. So let me see if I can pull it up quickly. If I can't, oh wait, I can. Great. This should work. Give me just a second. I'll put Kismic's message on stream that he wanted to have discussed here. Where can I? Oh yeah, this should be it, right? Doesn't work, sadly. I'll give it one more try. Give me just a second. I want everybody to get their opinions in, so let's see if we can get Kismix. Oh shit, no, that's not good. Ooh, that. Oh boy. Give me just a second. This is just, yeah, this is just a whole mess. There we go. So again, I'll just pull that message up real quick. All right, there we go. Looks like I got it. It will be a little bit scuffed, but that is fine. Here we go. Sorry, guys. So let's read it together. I haven't read this message before, but Kismic wants this contribution to be made. So his message says, when it comes to ELO, I've always held the opinion, one that through the past has been unpopular but has seemingly now gotten more common. The ELO system do be kinda broken. A system that looks to grade an individual's skills by looking at the team's games is simply never going to function correctly, as by definition you could reach the #1 spot on the ladder by being on the winning team a few too many times, regardless of what one has contributed to those games. Now this, while an imperfect system, one made for gauging individual performance, here used for team games, is still good enough simply because if you are good, you will grow, and there is simply, in my opinion, no need for this as to counter an opinion someone like Dumbo holds. There is no need to fix the actual calculation itself, as simply it will average out to put you where you belong. Now the actual problem that exists is the amount of swing in the system. A system that might not work all the time is fine. For on average, it will put you where you belong. The problem then arises when you see the amount of swing for each ELO game. To use an example, someone like Antiquity, who's an amazing player, has gone from like 6 to rank 15 in the span of a dozen games. To say a player like that can go down so fast is simply absurd, especially when accounting for not only the variability of the system, but also the RNG inherent to the game. Another example is me. I play a fair few games in a week, a true no-lifer, and I've managed in 2 months to go from rank 8 to rank 30 back to rank 21, and after the next ladder update, most likely back to rank 15. Come on, Kismic, let's not kid ourselves. You're not gonna pass me, are you? Sorry. Just from prior experience of how the ladder works. This is simply not something that should help me. Either I never deserve to go back to rank 30 or more likely to rank 8. In any case, it shows a faulty system and not due to its calculus implicitly, but due to its flexibility. Not to say that we should make the system go too rigid either. I wish to counter that too, but to have someone like Zardos with over 1,000 of games under his belt change not only rank but change page every other week. Alright, so that's what he has an issue with. He has an issue with the high variability of the ELO. Fluctuant ELO. Alright. Let's see what we think about this then. Here we go. That doesn't really do anything, does it? Apologies. I'm just trying to adjust the screen a bit. Any case. So, that was an interesting paragraph there. What do people think about this? Suede suggesting maybe the ELO that appears can be the average across the last 20 games. I don't know. Would that make it less fluctuant? That sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Jesus saying we need to remember with all these proposals that the first thing to consider always is feasibility for status. And not really, right? You can. I don't think that's how ideas have to work. Right? We can just propose the ideal idea, and we can then think about how to make it work. That's also fine. It just I get what you're saying, right? I get what you're saying. That's, of course, that's the deal breaker. That's the deal breaker for sure. Now the thing is, pretty much to Kismic's message, it's just super subjective. No, it's fine, Kismic. There's some rambling in there, some unclarity, but the general point is fully fine. The thing is, it's just so subjective. That's just literally the thing is, some people really like that the elo changes quickly. I think it's cool. I think if Antiquity has a stretch of bad games, there's no problem if it drops to rank 15. It does feel unfair, but everybody knows that if Antiquity drops to rank 15, everybody knows that he's not the 15th best player in the community at that point, right? But I feel like it's a rewarding type of system. Well, it depends on every person, right? Some people would say it's super unrewarding that I can play so well for so many years, and then just a week of bad games can make all my progress go away. But then again, you can get that progress back just as quickly if you overperform your actual your actual rank, your actual elo. So it's super iffy in my opinion. It really is. That's what I struggle with here. I can't say that you're right or you're wrong here. It's just your personal feeling that it feels shitty to drop quickly and to have so much movement. But other people would really like that, and they think that's a positive asset to our ladder. So that's yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to answer. I can give my personal opinion, of course. Um, Absolutely. Cheese just yeah, of course. No, that's absolutely accurate what you're saying. Um, so yeah, that's my issue. I can give my personal opinion here on what Kismix said. I like the big flexibility in Elo or the fluctuation. I think that's fun. It doesn't really apply to me though, because I don't play many games. So for me, I just move up steadily up and down in terms of time, right? And that's how people feel, right? That's how we take it in. If we look every other week and we see how our rank changes, of course my elo changes just as quickly as Kismic's elo in terms of number of games played, right? Every 10 games of his will affect his elo just as much as every 10 games of mine. The difference is just that I play 10 games of MPT in like half a year, and he plays 10 games of MPT in a week. So for him, he will have a much bigger fluctuation relative to time, whereas of course the fluctuation is the same relative to number of games, and that's the issue here, right? We've got a system that is based on number of games, but the way people view it is based on time. They feel it triggers a feeling of frustration or happiness based on after which time how much change actually occurred in their elo. So yeah, it's just subjective, I would say, and definitely if we decided to have a fresh start in the elo system, either with a reset, a partial reset, a new formula, then we should definitely get an the most possible accurate opinion of the community in terms of how fluctuant they want the elo to be. But as for now, I don't know. Maybe that's the next poll I'm gonna do. Actually, this could be this month's poll. I could just like last month, I could make an opinion poll, non-binding, just a poll to get the information out there. Do people think that we need more fluctuant elo, less fluctuant elo, or do they think the way the elo moves at the current time is nice? That's an opinion poll that I think I'm gonna launch tomorrow or something, maybe this night even, and see just what people think on it. Again, this is gonna be non-binding. I'm gonna make this very clear, just to get an idea of what people want. Mm-hmm. Cheese makes an interesting suggestion. We could introduce decay relative to rank, right? If you're a top 10 player, then you lose elo if you don't play. But if you're a top 30 player, rank 30, then you don't lose elo, because yeah, you only have to play a lot if you want to achieve the top ranks. I don't know if that's something we want, but that's an interesting idea if people complain about the front pagers just camping their rank, like I'm doing. So yeah, that's fair enough point. Maybe that could be a solution for the people that don't like to see the same names on the front page. So, we've debated Kismic's opinion. Now I'm gonna pull up Love's quote on this issue. It's much shorter. It's much shorter. So I'll put it on screen here, and then we can. Oops, where do I got it? Where do I just not have it anymore? Ah, there I got it. All right, so let's read it together. Love is saying, how about you let everybody rank everybody? Then take an average of all the rankings for each player as a starting point. You would be amazed at how well this works. The people that play with you all the time know how good you are. Weight the rankings by how often a person plays the game, and you will get scores that have a lot of validity. So what Love's proposing here is a reset, in a sense, where we assign the starting ranking by community opinion. We just have every ladder player make a ranking of each other, and then we get, as a result, a ranking that is hopefully quite accurate. And I agree. I think that is a really cool idea. I think it's not practical for our purposes. As trying to be realistic, I don't think many people would bother sending in a ranking here. So I don't think we would get very, very well accurate results, or well, accurate is a very subjective term. I don't think very representative result. I don't think the result will be representative of the overall community opinion. Just because I don't trust the community to participate in this very actively. But that doesn't mean anything, right? Again, this is not me making a ruling here. I'm not ruling this out. I'm just saying I personally would love this if this actually happened. I think it's a really cool idea to have a starting point, but I don't think it's practical for our purposes, which doesn't mean we shouldn't do it or try it. It just means that if we tried it, I'm a bit skeptical of how it would go. So let's see what people think about this. Uh-huh. Cheese is saying he doesn't agree with the proposal at all. Don't think Cheese has elaborated. He's just saying he doesn't like the idea. All right. Other opinions. Kittey says that relies on people actually voting. Absolutely. Oh, I'm not sure if that's related to Love's proposal. Maybe it's not related to it. If it's not, then fair enough. But yeah, this Love's idea is absolutely relying on people actually wanting this. Kismic says it's a very good proposal. I agree. I love the idea. I just, yeah, same thing. I have reservations about if people would actually partake in it. But if, again, would have no problems going through with this. It's a really nice idea. Cheese is saying it gives bad incentives. Cheese is criticizing the proposal, saying that it incentivizes you rating anyone above you in the ladder really low so you can climb. And he also says that people wouldn't partake in it. Just same reservations I do. Now, Cheese, one thing that you could do here is something that sometimes gets done in sports when people vote for an MVP votes or whatever. Sometimes outliers, again, I'm not a statistician, but sometimes outliers just get crossed out, right? You get a result, for example, Ironclad Ironclad, like 80% will rank. No, Ironclad is a bad example. Who's a bad example? Kismic. 80% of people will rank him between 10th and 25th in MPT. 10% will rank him top 10, and 10% will rank him below 30th. Then in that case, you could just cross out the extreme 10% on the top and the bottom. As an example, right? That is a way where you can tweak the system where you don't have to take the pure averages, for example. All right. So again, yeah, I think the incentives there. And by the way, you could also just make all these votes public so that if you actually underrated a player to benefit your own agenda, it would be public and you could be not of course not legally pursued for that. Like we wouldn't. People are entitled to their opinions, but at least people would see how you think about them. But again, I'm just throwing ideas out here. By the way, yeah, again, this is nothing official. We're just throwing ideas out here, trying to come up with something nice together. All right. The criteria would have to be crystal clear before. That's true. Cheese, of course. Okay, Kismix says he wants to do a poll to gauge how people would participate in this. That's cool. If we actually got somebody to get a ranking like this from every player and or from 80% of players and presented it as a result to the community, that would be really cool. I would applaud it if somebody went to that effort. Claudia asks me, what grade level student would I expect Love's proposal to come from? In reference to an earlier message he sent, no way he wrote that himself. Love's proposal was made by a 5-year-old. Serious answer, I don't generalize like that. And I don't have particularly good knowledge of the gradient in language and logic skills in students. So I have no idea who would write this. Ironclad. I think it more than gets the message across, so I think it's a perfectly adequate statement, a perfectly adequate proposal here by Love. But yeah, I'm not that much. I'm actually no. I'm a big opponent of mocking people for the way they express themselves if the message gets across very clear. I don't think we need to beat them up for the way they express themselves. That's just my personal. I just don't like that. But yeah, fair enough if you find pleasure in that. It's not heinous. I'm just saying it's not for me. All right. Jesus criticism. Don't trust people to accurately gauge other people's skill. He doesn't trust other people's to gauge other people's skill. Second, he doesn't trust participation at all. And third, he doesn't have faith in the following of honor system of many community members. So he says he doesn't trust people to actually rank them by how good they think each other are, but instead maybe take other factors into account. Which, fair enough, that's all. I personally only share one of those. I only share one of those concerns. I think the people that would actually partake in this would probably take it seriously, nigh all of them. And I think the way to gauge skill doesn't have to be accurate, and not accurate in the sense of objective truth. It can totally be feelings based. If 90% of the community feels like Ironclad is the best player, then it's fair enough if he starts off as the first rank. Now, to determine whether or not he's actually the best player, the elo system will then adjust. But I think as a starting point, the feeling of the community as to how good everybody is a really good starting point. So it's basically, by the way, what we were using so far. If Swade just assigns starting elo based on how good he thinks people are, then that's exactly the thing that Love is proposing, just not only pertaining to Suede, but getting everybody's opinion. So, but of course, then if Cheese then says he trusts Suede to evaluate new players more so than the overall community, then fair enough, right? I mean, you can have that opinion. I'm just saying, it being feelings based is already the case to some extent, or it was the case in the past when Suede assigned manual starting helos. So yeah. All right. Second time. Yeah, exactly. It's a starting point. So yeah. Fair enough, Cheese. Fair enough. Fair enough opinion. If we agree that we don't need a starting point, the only issue is if people wanted to use a different formula, I think it would make some logical sense to say if we wanted to adjust the formula, why not also just use a new starting point, start anew, have a fresh start, have none of the games of the past that were in some way, shape, or form affected by the old system and the old formula and the old starting points. If we wanted to fully eradicate this, then why not? If we needed a new starting point, I think Love's proposal is a really good one. If you do a fresh start, then Abby will come back. Well, that would be great then. So why don't we do that? All right, looks like we've pretty much gotten opinions from everybody here. Why is Love not here, lol? Doesn't have to be here, right? I mean, it's got no time or no interest, and doesn't gotta be here. I'm just, yeah. By the way, he didn't want me to bring these. I've quoted him twice today. I've pulled his quotes up twice on screen today. None of those were consented to by him. I just thought those were interesting quotes from the Steam group, by the way. All right. Any other opinions that haven't been stated yet? Anything you want to get off your chests regarding the ELO formula we're using, whether or not we need a reset, and where we are at with that currently? If there is anything that hasn't been said yet, please feel free to edit. And otherwise, I'm going to be moving on to the next three topics, which are all probably going to be rather short. So I'm hoping we can cap this off at under 2 hours today, because my delivery food arrived like an hour ago. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of getting horny for that. Fair enough though. We'll take our time. I don't want to make this. I enjoy this just as much as the food, I'm sure. Okay, Cheese makes a good point, even though I haven't read it yet. It's worth again mentioning that even as the moderators or whatever, I don't think these decisions should be made by one person or even a few people, things like resets, for example. Yep. Yeah. Fair point by Cheese. Again, if I've touched on this in the first topic of the day, the legislation topic. If people wanted to have a committee that deals with issues like that, then we could do that as well, right? It's just as we're handling things right now, I think decent idea to have yeah, to always have community interest determine the way we go on these things. Okay, in that case, I'll be transitioning to topic number 5 then. So what do we got there? All right. Transitioning, topic number 5 is a viewer topic, or well, actually, it was being presented to me yesterday already by Kittey. She wanted me to talk about the objectification of women in word and in image in the community. We talked about this a little bit in the last town hall, I believe. So it is a familiar topic. Of course, nothing major has changed since the last town hall, but we've got a few examples just from this last month. If there's still some people out there who maybe think this is a myth, if there's still people out here who think that women as a concept is not something that is brought up in the community regularly in a manner unbecoming, then a few examples here. We had a picture of a partially exposed woman's breast posted last night, or 2 nights ago, I think, in the Steam chat. We had a member of the community change their name to Chancellor of the Titty Committee, and announcing that they were in fact the Chancellor of the Titty Committee in multiple Steam chats. And we have, as we've always had, suggestive images of women used to advertise for games. Now, these are examples of what exactly? I'm not saying that all these things are intolerable, particularly the last thing, using women's images to advertise games, can even be seen as a positive, as a thing that has merit in order to advertise games. If again, that's personal philosophies for everybody. I'm not saying all these things are intolerable, but they all contribute to this place being uncomfortable for women at times. At times, right? At times, if I were a woman and I saw certain messages, certain pictures, certain statements made in the group, might feel uncomfortable. That's just an opinion that I share. Now, my personal opinion on this is, if you're one of these people that shares suggestive images of women to advertise games, that changes the name to things akin to what I mentioned above, or that posts partially exposed titties, then I would advise you to cut that behavior out if you're one of those people, and if you want to actually do something to change the way that women might feel in this community. If you think that it is an issue worth addressing, then cut that behavior out. For anyone else that also thinks that this is an issue, but that isn't currently even participating in this behavior, I suggest expressing your disagreement with these things in the moment that they occur in the utmost clarity. Right? If I see somebody post a picture of titties, and I'm not a moderator, so I can't remove them from the Steam chat, then I should just post, hey, this isn't cool. Why are we posting shit like this? If I'm of the opinion that, in fact, that is not cool and shouldn't be posted. Because what that does is that even if a woman looks at it and sees the way some people would objectify their gender, then at least they see at the very same time that there is people in here that don't approve of that behavior, and that's just, by the way, just my personal idea on this thing. I'm not sure if that actually helps, but I would think they if a woman saw that people spoke out against this behavior as it happened, it would possibly make them more comfortable. That is my opinion. So yes, my actual advice here is to virtue signal, in the literal sense of the word. Make your virtues clear, make your values clear, and signal them to the community so that women and everybody else knows what you stand for and what the majority of the community stands for. I think that could help in this situation. That is my honest take here. Yeah, I don't know if there's any disagreement there. That's just what I'm seeing. I totally agree, by the way, that reasonable women could feel uncomfortable based on regular behavior they encounter in the group, in games, whatever. I think if it is brought up to your attention that you are one of the people responsible for that feeling of uncomfortability, I don't know if that's a word, then just rethink your behavior. Think if that claim by the woman has merit, and think about whether or not you give a damn about them being offended. Right? Sometimes I don't give a fuck about somebody being offended, right? Because I have the right to offend people if I think they deserve to be offended or whatever. That is totally fine, by the way, right? I'm not saying you must not offend people. I'm a big fan of offending people. I'm just saying maybe not do it on the base of them being a woman, right? That doesn't seem like a, I don't know, like an offense worth offending people for. But yeah, fair enough. Ironclad saying, if you start posting sexualized men, I bet Lib and Love would start complaining. Try it out if you want. That's literally the proposal I made yesterday to Kittey. I said, yeah, why? Actually, if Suede doesn't delete partially exposed women's breasts from the Steam chat, why don't I go out and post a partially exposed dick and see how he acts towards that? That is an experiment that I encourage everybody to take if they want to try out the boundaries of the community and get a better gauge on what people actually tolerate. That is a social experiment I encourage. It's not one that I engage in because I think I'm not going to get engaged in behavior I think is wrong just to spite other people or just to, yeah. I think none of this shit should be posted. Yeah, it's just not the place for it, right? But that's just my thoughts. But if you believe that, yeah, the community is hypocritical there and you would like to oppose that, please go out and post suggestive male material and see how the reaction goes. So, power to you. All right. Let's see what people think about that. Many people saying they don't care. Fair enough. Either would be fine with them. Ironclad saying he promises they would get a note. Well, I don't care about that promise, right? Just because you have a certain preconception of people and judge them, that doesn't actually make them guilty, right? So yeah. But if it does in your mind, if you're saying they would absolutely be guilty of this, you don't even have to try, then fair enough. But I just don't judge people like that until I've seen it from them. If by the way, if you've seen it from them in the past, then fair enough. I mean, reasonable conclusion in that case. But nah, it's just not the experience I've made. More complaints might well be made the other way around. So yeah, try it out if you feel like it. Yep, I agree, Cheese. Ironclad is 100% certain on non-certain things a lot. But that's not Ironclad's. Ironclad is not the only offender of that. Many people confuse opinion and fact, or logical assumption with feeling, which is natural. Humans act like that. I'm just saying that. I try as best as I can to separate myself from that. And that's not meant to be an attack on Ironclad, by the way, right? Because some people don't fact check all their feelings all the time. That's totally fine. You don't have to do that. We're just playing games here at the end of the day. Okay. Any more thoughts about that? I'm still certain after I said that. Well, fair enough. So that either says that he thinks what I said is bullshit, or that he has actually witnessed behavior from Love and Lip that would suggest that in the past. So fine. You can. I'm always glad when people have opinions different from mine. It makes me feel a bit more unique, right? Oh, it's all good though. I love this. All right. Any new angles on this one? I'm open to it. Anything that hasn't been said yet, feel free to take the stage. Otherwise, I'd move on to topic number 6 of 7. Looks like people are fine to leave it at this for today. Again, well, I'll just restate my conclusion here. My conclusion was, if you're one of those people who act objectifying manner of in a manner objectifying women, then cut that behavior out if you want to do something to actually change that. And for anybody else that would like to change this without being an offender themselves, I suggest expressing disagreement with these things in the utmost clarity in the moment that they happen. All right, that is my conclusion there. Nice. Moving on then to topic number 6, which is a topic introduced by SilentKnight. What did they say exactly? Outrageous language. I'll just call it that. So topic number 6. SilentKnight has brought it to my attention that language used in the Steam chat and in lobbies and in multiplayer games is oftentimes not suitable for children, and is at times an issue. So yeah, of course, I just my personal opinion. I don't think that I have to say this, but I'll say it anyway. Personal attacks are in no circumstances justified to me. Like, even if somebody team kills me, that is no reason at all for me to go at them personally, right? I'm not gonna tell them that they're expletive, and they should expletive, and I will expletive just because they team killed me in a game or whatever, lost my game on purpose. If they're a troll, they're a troll, right? No, personal attacks, never fine. So, I mean, I by the way, I also, just for the record, I also know that the personal attacks will always be involved when people play games or do sports with each other. In the heat of the battle, that sometimes happens. Teammates cuss each other out sometimes when they get mad at each other. People arguing about cheating or rule breaking, they will sometimes do that. I can't explain why it happens, and I don't judge people for that too harshly, but I want to say that it's never acceptable. It's never justifiable, although it might be explicable, right? If somebody's a real dick to you, then if you lash out, that's not justifiable. It is explicable though. So that's my stance on it. Now, what I'm actually, so basically this whole toxicity thing, language thing, it has been discussed before, and all it comes down to is, do we want more or less moderation in the community? Don't we want more hands-on approach, more censorship, keep the community cleaner, or do we want less of that, and do we want to say everybody can say what they want and just have to live with the consequences? That is personal philosophy again, although apparently, as indicated by personal experience in the Steam group and apparently some polls as well that were held in the past, that data I'm not really privy to, but I think there's some poll data on that indicates that people lean towards bigger government in terms of toxicity, and they would like toxicity, flaming, personal attacks to be persecuted harder. So again, apparently we do have an inclination for the community in this regard. For everybody that is unsure how this works currently, if you are being flamed in game, if somebody is attacking you using inappropriate language, you can take a screenshot of that and report it to the ladder moderators, which is me, Status, Halu, Hoffman, and Cheese. If somebody is sending inappropriate messages in the Steam group or privately in Steam via anything associated with Steam, then do take a screenshot and send it to Suede. That is the procedure. So before I draw my conclusion here, let me see how the Twitch chat what the Twitch chat opinion was in this matter. Just a game. Exactly, we don't want to go overboard. No reason to allow toxicity. Cheese is saying the community is remarkably non-toxic. I would say this is true. I would say this is also largely contingent on the fact that we know each other, right? If you compare this to high elo games, like in League of Legends, the top players, they play against each other every day. They also develop personal relationships. And if it's not just a random player on the other side of the screen, but somebody whose personality you at least have some experience with, it lowers the risk for toxicity to break out, in my opinion. So that's why the community, because we're somewhat familiar with each other, I think that's why we are somewhat less toxic in comparison to other games. But I have made the same observation, yes. Aren't a bunch of kids here? That's Ironclad's explanation. Exactly, more like a few unhinged boomers. I agree with this too. I think younger communities do have a tendency to be a little bit more toxic, but there's also some unhinged old guys, and you're never safe from them anywhere. So that's the same case in our community as well at times, right? I don't want to typecast people like that, but sometimes the older people also have breakouts like that. All right, looks like there's not much debate going on this one. So my conclusion here is, two things. If the current rule set says that language is punishable. If somebody says bad shit in Steam, Suede will persecute that. If somebody says bad shit in games, the ladder moderators can persecute that. So what you should do if you're worried about the language, if you're one of the guys, by the way, who are more on the libertarian end, and yeah, they don't want the language to be policed, then yeah, fair enough, do whatever you want, right, and accept the consequences. But if you're one of the guys who would like to see improvement in this field, be diligent in collecting data. You have to do your own part, and that is a two-parter. You have to behave correctly yourself, right? You have to uphold your own standards, that goes without saying. But then you have to also report those people who don't live up to the standards that not you personally, but the community has set. If there's rule breaches that bother you, you have to report them. Be diligent in collecting data. And that goes, by the way, for all offenses, for all offenses, not only toxicity. If you accuse somebody of cheating, make sure to bring at least one screenshot, right? Get the data that you can anytime something happens that you are bothered with. So make sure to be diligent there, because obviously the moderators can only work with what they are given. And yeah, so that's my conclusion here. We can definitely tone up the language policing if the community wants that, and rules would have to be made in that regard, or at least official community polls would need to be taken. However, what you can already do right now, the current rule set allows for language to be policed, so collect the data that bothers you and action will follow. All right. All right, looks like also, well, no huge disagreements there. Yeah, I'll address this real quick. Ironclad saying that he's entirely against censorship, and he doesn't even block people in Steam. Now the issue is just to clarify, and I'm not saying that Ironclad is implying something here, but I'm just saying this does not imply that Ironclad, just because he's against censorship and he doesn't block people ever, that doesn't mean that other people aren't allowed to block him or censor him, right? And that also doesn't, just because he says he will take any behavior from anybody and everybody can tell him what they want, that doesn't give him the right to tell everybody else what he wants. Because again, my philosophy is always, you have to hold yourself to your standards, not everybody else. You can hold everybody else to your standards, but that doesn't then it doesn't give you any rights. It doesn't make them bad people. It might make them bad people in your mind and bad actors and people you don't want to associate with, which is healthy. If people don't follow your standards, you shouldn't always associate with them. I'm just saying, if I follow my standards, that is expected. That is not something I should be hailed for, and that is not something that gives me any privileges. So if I follow my standards, that is fine and well. If other people don't follow my standards, that's their thing, and I can draw my own conclusions from that. It's just saying that, of course, only just because I take anything, just because I take anything from you, that doesn't give me the right to fire back everything at you. Not legally. Well, legally is a bad word. Not logically, right? That's not how standards work, really. Right? It's like if I go onto the streets and I tell a guy, hey, punch me as hard as you can, and the guy just walks by me, and then I punch him in the face and knock him out. Then I could say, yeah, I gave him the opportunity to do to me whatever he wanted, and then I did to him whatever I wanted. That's not how it works, right? Of course, that's a ridiculous example, but that's just what I mean in general. So be careful whether you're advocating for a lot of censorship or whether you're advocating for no censorship. Be careful that the overall community, the overall rules that we agree on is the policy by which we're judging people, no matter what your personal philosophy might say in that regard. All right. Yeah, it's fair enough. Yeah, that's just a basic principle that I wanted to address here. Not even, I don't have any examples from my memory where I would accuse you of behavior opposite to this principle, but fair enough. Looks like this topic's also done and dusted at this point. So I think we can move on to the final topic, which isn't even really a topic. It's just the cap on this whole thing. So last chance for anybody to talk about the language and censorship part of the stream. Anybody got any opinions left on that one? Then sure, be free to leave your comments there and chime in. Otherwise, we'll be moving on here in just a second to the last and final topic. All right, looks like we can whoops, what's happening? Oops. Yep, we can move on to the last topic, being I guess just evaluating or giving my thoughts on my moderator experience so far. All right, last topic then, looking back on my moderation so far. So this is the part where I get butthurt and tell everybody who criticized me to go fuck themselves. Or is it? Well, not really. At this point, basically, I want to give everybody an opportunity to come in here and tell me if they have an issue. If there's anything on any of my rulings that they disagreed with, anything, they can bring it up to me and we can discuss it here. Otherwise, I just want to give you a few thoughts how I feel about the first month, basically, of how I've moderated and my issues there. Um, so, yeah, if there's, again, just post your complaints in chat if you've got any. So, what do I want to talk about in this one? Just real quick. I always encourage people to tell me if I'm doing a shitty job. That's important. You can. I appreciate that, by the way, in the Steam chat as well. All the people who are saying that I'm doing a shit job and I'm not living up to whatever I promised. That's valuable feedback to think about. So yeah, I always encourage that happening. Fair enough. Am I a shitty moderator? Who knows? Am I power hungry? Well, I'll give you guys just my quick thought on how my moderation, why I'm a moderator. I'm here to give my personal opinions on disputes over rules. That is my job, right? It's somebody, well, my job is to give opinions on disputes over rules. I chose to do that job in a matter where I use my personal opinions on these matters to make a ruling, right? I read the rule, I think in my head how I think the rule is meant to be applied, and then I apply it by that personal opinion that I formed on the rule. I do not claim to uphold any single agenda. I do not claim to be any specific, yeah, I don't know, because that's sometimes what people tell me. When people say I talked a big game, I don't live up to my promises or whatever. I don't recall ever making any promises. Really, I'm just here to giving my personal opinions. I also want to say that I'm not a member of any camp in the community. I don't have any loyalties to anybody. I would have no issue stabbing any of these people in the community in the back if I thought they did something fucked up. I'll say that up front, right? I might be friendly with a bunch of you guys, but I don't have your back if you're doing something fucked up. I'll say that up front. Yeah, you're not like my, I don't know, like my younger brother that I have to defend in any situation. I'll stab your back if I think you're on the wrong end or something. So some people, because people seem to think I'm in cahoots with some of the people here. I'm definitely not. I'm definitely, I don't have any loyalties in this community. Um, just as supporting evidence here, I've played games outside of Civ3 multiplayer community, just actual games with multiple people in this community, being in all different types of camps. Just because I don't really play that game. In terms of, yeah, assigning myself to one camp. I've played games with Carlot, I've played games with Suede, I've played games with Lib, I've played with Green Man, if you want to count him, and I've played with Rapdag. I might have played with more people actually, but that's just the people that I've played casual games with outside of Civ3 multiplayer. So I'm just saying this to assure you, if you think I'm one of the Suede guys, then fair enough, you can think that, but I'm just saying I also have quite friendly relationships with people like, I don't know, Carlot, Rapdag, Green Man, whatever, right? I'm just saying. And again, all these people I'm quite friendly with, but again, no loyalty at all, none at all. So basically, I'm just here as a moderator because I was asked to be here. I enjoy doing stuff with and for the community. So I was asked if I would like to be a candidate. Some people said they thought it would be a good idea. I did not campaign for myself at all. I didn't even vote for myself, because I think that's pretty standard, right? People don't usually vote for themselves, do they? I don't even know if that's a thing in America. Whatever. The baseline is I'm just here because I was asked to be here, and yeah. And if I was asked to leave, I would leave in an instant. So if somebody out there thought I did a shit job and he went around and got like 10 signatures, he got 10 people to sign a petition for me to step down, I would step down tomorrow. I'll tell you guys that. Again, so if you think I'm a power hungry guy, if you think I do a shit job, then please let me know. I have no emotional attachment to my ladder moderating activities at all. I'm just doing this because somebody has to do it, and people want somebody to do it. So that's all. Um, and by the way, I really do mean that seriously. I'm not waiting. I didn't get myself elected here, and now I'm saying, I got this position. Nobody can remove me until either I settle a slide on stream or the next elections take place, whenever that will be. No, but I do mean that seriously. If you've got like 10 people signing a petition for me to step down, um, I'll do it in an instant. Because really, I would hate nothing more than to make the overall experience in the community worse. And if my vision for how the rules are supposed to be interpreted is just objectively wrong in many people's eyes, then I shouldn't be a moderator. So that's what I'm saying. I really don't want to cling to this power because philosophy goes, my philosophy goes, people, best people suited for power are those that don't really want the power, at least not for the sake of having the power. So yeah, please do remove me if I'm doing a bad job. Is all I'm trying to say. She's pretty much sharing that sentiment. Is also nice to see. Can we make a vote to remove Lib's vote? Oh man, people are great. So yeah, if there's any last thoughts on this topic, anything regarding my moderation that you found interesting, you found bad, you found objectionable. I'm sure that's a word, somewhat like that. In any case, then let me know in the chat right now or in a private message if you're more comfortable with that. And if there's any other topic, this is your last chance. I'll leave the stream up for like 1 or 2 more minutes. Any topic at all, could be something completely different, anything to do with Civ3 multiplayer. Bring it up right now. You can still call in on Discord. You can still send me a message. Send me something you want me to show on stream, unless it's partially exposed titty pics. So please do let me know if there's anything left to discuss. Otherwise, I'll be closing our November special of the town hall. 5 in future. Anybody watching right now on Twitch, get in the future lobby. Carlot is hosting, or at least he's advertising 5 in future. Get in there if you want to play. Great question, Cheese. She's asking if I can give some Norse to German lessons, please. I'll probably be bringing back my study/language streams. This is unrelated. Well, let me change the headline. 8 unrelated. Jesus, I can't even type anymore. I really need my food. Kebab or German sausage? Ooh. Oh, dude. Shit. That's a kebab. Because the thing is, German sausage, all types of German sausages, I have to pick over kebab. I eat sausages every day for breakfast and dinner. I eat bread and sausages. But actually cooked sausages, warm sausages, such as like Wiener or currywurst, that's a tough call between currywurst and doner. Because I like currywurst more than doner, more than kebab. But the thing is, I eat kebab more often because it's more convenient on the go. So that's a difficult call between currywurst and kebab. I think I'd still take currywurst because it feels more core to my identity. I feel maybe childhood stuff as well, but I think I'll still sway towards currywurst. But I definitely eat kebab more. But if we're talking about all German sausages, then yeah, I have to pick the sausages. That's literally what I live off of. All right. And yeah, Cheese, by the way, Cheese earlier saying that German to Norse or Norse to German lessons. I'm planning to actually bring back the language streams probably in December, maybe already pretty soon, but might be in December as well. Because I haven't studied languages hard enough lately. I've been focused on more of my schoolwork for this semester, which hasn't included languages as much. but I might bring back weekly or daily language study streams, half an hour, 1 hour, for all the different languages: Old Norse, Norwegian, Latin, Korean, French, maybe even. Maybe I'll bring those back because I feel like I've neglected it a bit, and if I did it on stream, I'd be more Latin if I didn't mention Latin. I think I need to be a little bit more diligent there. So yeah, I'll probably bring that back somewhat. All right, anything else? Oh, I'm so sorry, Dangerous. That bombing yesterday, yeah, that was a bit uncalled for. I should say we played a future one for 1 hour, and 3 enemy players were left untouched, and you were the only one that was actually getting attacked, and I was just bombing you for 1 hour straight, and then we GG'd. Must have been a shitty experience. Yeah, I did a shit job there. Also, maybe it could have carried, but it's future. I enjoyed it though. It was pretty fun. Okay, Elon Musk buying Twitter. No opinions at all. I'm glad to get off of Twitter as soon as I can. As the less big corporations I can be involved with, the better for me. Although I do enjoy Twitter, it's a big corporation, so I don't think that's something I need to support. So nah, don't care if it's Elon Musk or anybody else. Nice. Think that does it for today. Thanks everyone for coming out and sharing your concerns. The VOD will be up on YouTube in like 24 hours from now. Thanks for coming out. I'll do the next town hall next month, probably, maybe 5 weeks from now. December's pretty busy for me, so we'll see when I'll actually end up doing it. Will of course be announced again. Mail in your topics for the next town hall whenever you want. But of course I'll announce it a week in advance again as well. Nice. Thanks for coming out, everybody. And I'll catch you guys in the server playing some CIV3. Thanks, everybody.